Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to talk about some Doctor Who, and today we're going to be continuing my series where I'm ranking all of Doctor Who from worst to best, all of meaning all of the TV episodes, plus some of the expanded material as well, and today we're cracking the top 50. Today we're going to be talking about number 50 through number 26, so kind of the second to the last video in the series. We are definitely on the top end of the list. We're going to be talking about some great stories today, some I'm quite fond of. Very excited to get into it. And we're going to start with number 50. And that is The Keeper of Traken, the penultimate Tom Baker story. I enjoyed this one. I actually am more fond of it than I am Logopolis. I love Anthony Ainley as Tremas. That's actually my favorite Anthony Ainley role that he ever did in Doctor Who. He just plays Tremas so well as noble and good, a scientist, a good father, which makes it all the more tragic at the end when he basically dies when the Master steals his body. Really builds Tremas up as a good character, and Anthony Ainley plays that role well. It's also a wonderful introduction to Nyssa. I like Nyssa in this episode. She's still not fully fleshed out. Nyssa never got as fleshed out as I wish she had, even though Sarah's doing a great job playing her. But I like her in this. I like her and Adric together. They have several scenes together in this. They're really good together. The studio set design is really good. The other main actress in this, the woman that's betrothed to Tremas, she's really good. I believe she's in an episode of Blake 7 as well. I think I saw her in an episode of Series 2 of Blake 7. What, Cassiopeia or whatever her name is? Actually, that's a Battlestar Galactica name. But or Cassia, she's really good in this. I like her. I love the fact that we have, I forget David's last name. The guy playing the Keeper, who of course also played Professor Chronosis in Shada. Love that we have him here. Little disappointed he's not offering me some tea. Anytime I see him on screen, I'm expecting him to offer me some tea. Sugar, 2 lumps. Yes. With milk. Yes, definitely want some milk. But he's great as the Keeper, what we get of him. I like the story itself. I'm not a big fan of the actual Melker statue. It looks good when it's standing still, but it moving around looks silly. Like when you see it hopping around and peeking in the... I get it needs that for the blot to happen, but it looks so silly. I also don't like the little band they wear around their neck because it looks so cheap. It reminds me of those little slap bracelets you used to have for your wrist. It looks so... Ugh. Also, the scenes when Cassia kills people with her eyes, and you can tell it's just her eyes closed, but they're painted over. No, Melkor! As I mentioned when I talked about Image of the Fendal, I don't like the painted on eyes. I don't. It takes me out of the episode a bit. But I do enjoy the story. I love Tom Baker's performance in this. I tend to love Tom Baker's performance in all of his eras. And even though he's playing in season 18, he's playing his Doctor more subdued a bit. I like, excuse me, I like the ending. It's a great reintroduction to the Master. Keep in mind how long the Master's been gone. We haven't seen the Master since The Deadly Assassin in season 14. So we're talking about over 4 seasons here. The Master's been gone a long time. And this is only the second time we've seen the Master since Frontier in Space. A really long time. So I like that it turns out as a shock, you know, when you realize it is actually the Master back. And I think Jeffrey plays the Master quite well. The ending when... I like how they bring the clock back for the ending being a spare TARDIS and how he steals Tremas's body. That's a really cool effect, too, of him emerging and becoming a new body at last. I enjoy The Keeper of Traken. It's a really solid episode. It's probably the last, like, A-tier Tom Baker story, as I consider Logopolis just kind of B or C tier. Next on the list is The Bells of St. John. This one's fun. I like this one a lot. I think I rank it higher than most, of course being the first episode of Series 7B, which is underrated in general. But I like The Bells of St. John. I love the chemistry that Matt and Clara had together. It's such a crime that we didn't get more of them. Because I think Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman bounce off each other really well. They react to each other really well. They have very good chemistry. And they have a flirty banter. And I'm not usually, I mean, I tend to prefer a more asexual Doctor, but they have a fun flirtiness to them, which I enjoy. Much more so than, say, Tin and Rose, which made me roll my eyes. But that's a lot of fun. I enjoy, once again, Doctor Who taking something normal in our life and making it scary. In this case, Wi-Fi, the internet, making it deadly, making it dangerous, it trapping you in it to where your body dies. I love how it brings back the Great Intelligence, which we haven't seen, well, I guess technically since the Snowman, but before that, since Classic Who, since the Troughton era. Richard E. Grant is great. It's nice that they brought Richard E. Grant into the show proper, since, you know, he was an alternate Ninth Doctor, which is somehow might have still been canon. That's kind of odd, since Richard E. Grant's been the Great Intelligence, and he might also have been canon as the Doctor now, due to the events of Rogue. That's interesting. I love some of the incidental music in this. Like, there's this little piece that plays when they're riding the bike around. I love that music. It's not long, but I love it. I like how when he materializes the TARDIS, he has the helmet and he's just taking donations. And I love some of the humor in it too, when he's like, you should go out, you know, dancing and stuff. Dancing with you? Down, boy. No. I love that banter they have. I love the Easter egg of the book that the girl is holding. Looks like it is written by Amy Williams, or Amelia Williams. It's an Amy Pond book. I like that. Little bit of a nod there. And I love the ending, when you actually find out the Doctor riding the motorcycle is the robot and that he hacked it, because I didn't see that coming. And the helmet does a good job of covering it up. I still love that part when he's talking to her. Did you not even hear the part where I said anti-grav? And then the bit when he tells her, you know, why would I do that? Because I'm going to motivate you. I love the way he says that line. Because I'm going to motivate you. I love when the Doctor's that confident. I love it. And then realizing that he's tricked her and gotten the machine close to her. That's neat. And then when everything gets restored to factory settings, that he's been with her so long, she thinks she's a little girl again. It's a solid episode and a great way to bring modern Clara, our regular version of Clara, into the episode. I actually enjoy it. Next on the list is End of the Line, which is the first part of the Doctor Who Big Finish story, The Last Adventure, which of course culminates with the Sixth Doctor regenerating. This one's really good. This is probably the highest Sixth Doctor story on the list, with the highest TV episode we discussed last video being Mark and Lorani. This is probably the highest Sixth Doctor story. I like this one. It's creepy. It's atmospheric. I love the tone. I had no idea what was going on for a lot of it. I like the fact you find out the Master's involved, but then the Valiard shows up and basically just bitch slaps him. Get out of here. And like, it's totally awesome. Michael Jaston still got it. I'm so glad we had him back as the Valiard. But it's got such a creepy, eerie, and mystery vibe going to it, where you're trying to figure out what's going on. And it feels like you're in kind of a fantasy realm at points, but a scary, creepy, horror movie vibe fantasy realm. And I love that. I just love the feel of this story. It's so good. I need to listen to it again sometime. Next on the list is Remembrance of the Daleks, one of the quintessential Doctor Who stories, one of the quintessential Dalek stories, one of the essential Dalek stories. This one is the highest of the 80 stories, even though most of the time I tend to say Resurrection is my favorite of the 80 stories. This one ranks the highest. I really love the version of it on, well, there's several versions of it, on the Blu-ray box set. The special edition is really nice. I love the updated special effects. I long said that I wish Remembrance would get some updated special effects, because while I think the original blast effects, laser effects, are pretty cool, I always wanted better ones, and now I have better ones. They gave me better ones. I'm liking the updated special effects. You know how Prowl is about his updated laser blast. And it just really bumped this story up a little more for me. I like the special edition edits. I like the updated effects. I love the story itself, the civil war between the Daleks, where you actually see the Daleks battling it out. I like the fact that each side of the Daleks looks unique with their coloring. I like the fact their laser blasts are different colors, with the Renegade having the more teal-colored laser blast and the Imperial Daleks having the orange laser blast. So you always know who's shooting. That's awesome. Love the Special Weapons Dalek. Gotta love the Special Weapons Dalek. And then some of the low-key things going on in it, like when Ace sees the no-colored sign, and you just see that disgust on her face. And there's no dialogue there, and there doesn't have to be. You can just tell by the look on her face and the fact she immediately wants to leave. You know exactly what's going through her mind. It's a really well-done scene. I think the only thing that could have been better, as somebody mentions in the behind the scenes, is they said, somebody giving them some feedback said she should have ripped the sign in half. That would have been the one thing I think would have made it a little better. But it's still, again, her reaction that she does do communicates exactly what she's feeling perfectly when she reads that. The scene when the Doctor talks with Jeffrey from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I like him. About ripples and everything causes ripples. A nice little scene, which really kind of foreshadows the ending. I like the guest cast in this. The guy who's kind of the stand-in brigadier. The guy who ends up, the younger guy who ends up being a traitor. I mean, he puts in a good performance. The biography about him is really good, too. The two ladies who are working for the unit-like group, the military group. I especially like the very sly Quatermass comment when they kind of talk about Professor Quatermass in there. That's pretty neat. And then when one of the when the military guy's like, "Come on, we need to get moving," and she kind of clicks her heels almost in a German way, like she's saying, "Yes, sir." It's pretty funny. I like the little machine the Doctor uses to save Ace in the cliffhanger for part 2, which is a great cliffhanger. I love the cliffhanger of part 1 with the Dalek going up the stairs. Granted, it does take it about 73 years to get up those stairs, and another 50 years to blast down the door. But I do like that cliffhanger and actually seeing the Dalek floating up the stairs. That was pretty neat. And it's got Michael Sheard in it. I wish we had Michael Sheard for longer, but it's great to see Michael Sheard. I think this is his last Doctor Who story. It's great to see him again. It's always nice to have him in Doctor Who. Doctor Who veteran. Empire Strikes Back veteran. I like the bat. I always love that iconic scene of Ace beating up the Dalek with the bat and running through the window. I like that whole scene. And then, of course, I love the ending. The first time you truly see Chess Master McCoy, and you start to realize there's more to this Doctor than meets the eye, and you really start to see, oh, maybe you don't want to screw with 7. Maybe you don't want to mess with 7. That whole speech, that whole confrontation with Davros at the end is just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Well written, well performed, and again, the updated special effects help sell that scene even better. Remembrance is a legend for a reason. It's such a good Dalek story. It's such a good Doctor Who story. Next on the list is The Moonbase, one of my favorite Cybermen stories, one of my top 2. I like this one. This could arguably be Patrick Troughton's best performance in the role. I mean, you could just see him performing in those final 2, well, the 2 surviving episodes, and he's amazing in it. Also, hats off to the animation. This is one of the top 2 animations we've ever gotten. This was Planet 55 at their best when they had taken everything they'd learned from the first 2 projects and they really came alive here. The animations, it's never jarring going from animation to live action and back. And you have to do that a lot because you go from animation to live action to animation to live action. And it's never jarring or problematic for me. It looks really good. The scenes with the Cybermen, they make them look creepy and scary. The character likenesses are really good. The faces move in a good way. The bodies move in a good way. Easily one of the best animations we've ever gotten. And then the 2 surviving episodes are just masterpieces. I love Troughton's performance here. I love the cliffhanger for episode 2. Is one of the best cliffhangers in all of Doctor Who. Watching Troughton realize the one thing they've missed. And you can see it on his face when it clicks, when 2 + 2 suddenly equals 4. And you just see that look on his face. It's like, your man checked everywhere, every nook and cranny. Yes, yes. Did they check in here? Did they check in here? I like how he does that kind of loud whisper, that kind of stage whisper. No. And you just see that insistence on his face, that kind of fear, panic that he's keeping controlled, where it's worry, it's concern. And it's just such a good performance from Patrick. I like, now, to be fair, Fraser's kind of sidelined for most of this story, but, you know, he was kind of added on last minute as a main character. That kind of makes sense. Ben and Polly are great. I like the fact Polly's the one who figures out to make up that solution that damages them, and that she's very much gung-ho with it. I like that. The scenes of the Cybermen walking on the moon, the live action and the animation, looks absolutely fantastic. Now, there's a couple things I don't like about the story. I don't actually care for the Cyberman design very much with the 3 fingers. And then it's another one of those where you have a little bit of a problem understanding what they're saying. But for me, the 10th Planet design and voice is way better, even though I think this story is way better. And I love the guy who plays kind of the leader of the base a lot. He's really good. I do like him a lot. It's a solid story. It's got a good ending. Some pretty nice special effects. And you really feel bad for the guys who were in the rocket. Like the ones who were trying to land to help in the rocket, and the rocket just kind of got spun off. And, like, they don't die immediately. It's like, oh, they're going to go into the sun. May take a few weeks, but they're going to go into the sun. Could you imagine knowing that? Frank, what happened? We got thrown off course. Frank, what do we do now? We go into the sun. We what? Yeah, we're going into the sun. Well, what can we do to stop that and fix that? Nothing. So we're going to be dead any second now. No. Several weeks. I'd say 5 weeks. We're going to go into the sun in 5 weeks? Yeah. What do you do with that knowledge? What do you do with that? Well, crap. All right. Don't know how to really cross things off my bucket list here because we're stuck in this rocket. I really need an episode where somehow the Doctor ends up on this rocket and he ends up saving the day. That would be a nice, like, for the modern series to tie that in with an episode of the classic series, but not so close to where you have to have seen the Moonbase. It could just be a little comment that's there. And if you catch it, you catch it. If you don't, you don't. Almost like an Easter egg. And the Doctor actually saves the day. Because that's that one part of the episode that always kind of rubs me wrong in the back of my head. Just kind of tickles the back of my head that bothers me. Is, man, the people on that rocket are so boned. I feel so bad for them. Other than that, though, the Moonbase is a masterpiece. Next on the list is Mission to the Unknown, which is probably a lot higher than a lot of people would have it, and a lot higher than people thought I would have it, especially considering Daleks' Master Plan was fairly low down on the list. But I like Mission to the Unknown. I like this Doctor Who story that because none of our main cast are there, especially the Doctor not being there, stuff can go wrong, everything can go to pot, and it's okay because the Doctor's not there. It works as a nice prologue to the Daleks' Master Plan, even though we have the myth makers, of course, in between. But it does a good job of setting up the mystery of it. But I enjoy it more because once Daleks' Master Plan happens, the planet doesn't seem that deadly. Whereas in this episode, it seems deadly. I mean, the cactus things that are organic and plant, those things are terrifying. The fact that they prick you and that they can move, they're not just stationary, they prick you, they knock you out, then they drive you mad, you become panicky, then you just want to kill, and then you turn into one of them. What a way to reproduce. That's creepy. That's Twilight. This could have been an episode of the Twilight Zone. I love the U-Clan remake is great. I love it. They did a great job with that. And I love the fact they had the original main actor doing the introduction to it. It's well put together, a great watch. I've seen the unofficial animation as well. Also a very good watch. It's a solid story. And again, keeping in mind, it's just one part. It's just 25 minutes or thereabouts, less than half an hour. And it crams a lot in. I mean, even the one character that's infected right at the beginning, he was a person, because that's where the episode's... Well, that's where the cliffhanger to Galaxy 4 was him waking up. Cute. And then getting to know these other two scientists, figuring out the plot is, learning that what Mark or Marcus, whatever his name was, Mark Corey, that, you know, he's a special agent, finding out the Daleks are there, trying to get that information back, you know, to get a message sent out when he realizes they can't repair the rocket. The other guy getting infected and slowly, while he's terrified, starting to change, and Mark having to kill him, and then him not having enough time to get the message off. He got it recorded, which comes in later, handy later in Daleks' Master Plan, which takes, you know, starts off 6 months later, and they do manage to find his message, but he doesn't manage to get it sent off like he wanted in time, although at least he got it recorded. It's a great cliffhanger, too. You know, nobody wins. It's a sad ending, and since the Doctor's not there, you can have that sad ending. You can have the Daleks win, you know, for the moment ending. I like that. It's just well put together. It's well put together. It's creepy. It's scary. I like it. Next on the list is The Mind of Evil, my favorite Season 8 story, and the one Season 8 story that feels like it would have slotted right in Season 7, because it does have that kind of darker tone like Season 7 did. Because Season 8 is a kind of a very soft reboot in a way, where it's a little more family-friendly, a little more kid-friendly. Unit feels a little more like a family than a military organization. Great season, of course, but Season 7 is darker, and especially considering Mind of Evil is written by the same writer who wrote Inferno, almost in a way a sequel story to it. It has that darker edge to it. Now, I really like this story. My biggest issue being, of course, the colorization looks a little rough. It's a miracle we have it in color at all. I'm not going to complain, but my job when ranking is to criticize here. I'm grateful we have it in color at all. I've never seen it in black and white. It's the first time I ever finally got to see Mind of Evil, I think, was on the box set when it came out. I can't remember if I had the DVD or not. I can't remember if somebody sent me the DVD or I saw it when the box set came out. I don't remember. But it's something I've seen more recently. And the colorization is just, you know, it's a little rough in places. Like on characters' faces, sometimes the colors aren't consistent. You can almost see the black and white trying to break through the like fake color, or sometimes hairlines, like the Brigadiers have that little bit of white right at the hairline. The sky always gives it away. Instead of the sky looking solid, it always looks like it has little dots of color, like there's color bleed or rainbow effect or something. It's always a little dotty with colors. That being said, the story's fantastic. I like the story. Again, I like the performances. I think our guest cast are doing a good job. It's creepy. I love the idea of the killer machine. And the effect they use when it's killing someone, be it rats, be it drowning, is a cool effect. The Doctor, a couple times when he sees the fire, that's a cool effect. And I like the fact even the Doctor can't stand the machine. I love the conversation he has with the Master. You wanted to know if I could face the, handle this machine, face this machine. Well, I'm here to tell you I can't. I like that. It's not something that's easy for the Doctor to admit, but he's being honest, he can't. And I like the fact the Master did not want him dead. The fact that he was making sure he didn't quite die. A little bit of that old friendship showing through. That and learning one of the Master's greatest fears is the Doctor laughing at him. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And I absolutely love John Pertwee being Ham there when he's he's a little over the top with it. I like that Joe gets some neat stuff to do in this. Of course, Robert Delgado's great. He's always great. The guy he's kind of working with in the prison, the one that gets shot by the Brigadier later, I like him in this a lot. I like the fact they got to use the real missiles. I think they very much, the team making this episode, liked the fact they got to use real missiles as, like, stand in as the missiles. They had real military missiles. I'm sure they were like, wow. It's a shame that Timothy never got to come back again because he went so much over budget on this story. Because I think he directed Silurians and Mind of Evil very well. I enjoy the shootout scene when Unit's doing the battling. And Timothy himself is even playing a couple of people in it. It's really well done. It has a really nice ending. It's my favorite Season 8 story. Next on the list is The Highlanders, which is also the name of a couple movies I like. Yes, I like Highlander 2. Is it better than the first one? No. But I still like it. It's a guilty pleasure. But, circling back to Doctor Who, love the Highlanders. I read the novelization first and loved the novelization. And then I got to watch the recon. And I liked the recon. Like, I don't find the recon hard to get through at all, even though, again, it's, you know, it's all 4 episodes missing, only a couple clips existing, so pretty much a picture recon. It's an enjoyable watch. The performances are good. Love Troughton in it. I like the story. The last of the pure historicals we got all the way to Black Orchid. It's solid. I like the one, I guess it would be British soldier who actually turns out not to be such a bad guy. He kind of has a thing for Polly, so he helps her at the end. I kind of like that. I like that Polly gets left alone with the other Scottish girl, and she kind of puts a backbone into the Scottish girl. I like that. I love the introduction of Jamie. Jamie's great in this episode. I like that we find out Ben is a strong swimmer, which in the Navy makes sense. And then the scene when Patrick Troughton's confusing the one guy and he keeps banging his head on the table. Your eyes. That whole scene with that one, that's funny. That was funny in the novelization. That's funny in the reconstruction. And then the one guy who's kind of the lawyer type, seeing him get his comeuppance at the end, and you just get this smug satisfaction seeing him get his comeuppance at the end. I enjoy that. It's a fun episode. It's really fun. Next on the list is The King's Demons. Probably higher than a lot of you would have it, which is also going to be the case with the next story that's going to be on this list. But this story, for the exact same reasons for that story, is because I enjoy them. I like The King's Demons a lot. It's a fun story for me. It is another one of those that's a two-parter that knows it only needs to be a two-parter. And it crams a lot into those 2 parts. Like the location work. I like the sets. I like the guest cast. Anthony Ainley's great as the Master. The guy playing the King, or the guy who's playing Chameleon when he's disguised as the King, is great. Love that guy. Love the voice he talks in, my demon. The bit when he sings the song I really like. I just like him. The guy who actually knows it's not the real King because he was riding with the real King earlier. I like him. He's really good. I will admit, though, of all the disguises I've seen the Master use, that one wasn't fooling anyone the most. I mean, as soon as you see him, you're like, that's Anthony Ainley. Don't get me wrong, there have been several times when Anthony Ainley has fooled me. Like when he's the Portreeve and stuff. But this one, even if I hadn't already known, and I knew before I saw it that the Master was in it, but even if I hadn't known, as soon as I saw him, I'd be like, oh no, I wonder who that is. I'll have to remember to act not surprised at what's probably going to be the cliffhanger to part 1 when it's revealed it's the Master, which, spoiler alert, that's what happens, the cliffhanger to part 1. Oh, my dear doctor, you have been naive. I'm like, no kidding. I like the fight scene at the end of part 1. When it's the physical sword fight between them. I mean, it does look staged and choreographed, but it's still really good. I really enjoy it. And then I like the battle between them at the end of part 2. That's more a battle of the minds. I like that the end of part 1 is basically them battling physically with swords. And the, well, almost ending of part 2 is them having a mental battle of the wills over Chameleon. I actually like the symmetry of that really, really well. A physical battle and then a mental battle. I enjoy that. The guy who owns the house is a little wishy-washy with his allegiances. I'm on your side. No, I'm on your side. No, I'm on your side. Yeah! Big bucks, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Big bucks, no whammies. Stop. Whose side do I want to be on next? A little wishy-washy. The actor playing is fine, but a little wishy-washy. I like how the Doctor sabotages the Master's TARDIS, which always makes me wonder if that's actually what causes him to be shrunk in Planet of Fire. I mean, from the dialogue in Planet of Fire, it's not, but I like the headcanon and think it is. And also, I love the fact the Iron Maiden was his TARDIS. I do love that little fact as well. It's a solid 2-parter that's very underrated. Now, I'm not a fan of Chameleon. Let me be clear. I hate Chameleon. I think it's a terrible idea. But since he's not really Chameleon much in this episode, he's usually disguised as the King, and I like the guy playing the King, it gets a pass. Solid episode. And next on the list, for basically the same reason, is the Horns of Nimon. Yes, I know the Horns of Nimon objectively should not be this high. The first time I saw the Horns of Nimon, I was like, oh, this is dreadful. It's dreadful. There's no budget. Even for classic Doctor Who, there's no budget. Like when people who don't watch classic Doctor Who or only have like a surface level knowledge of classic Doctor Who talk about how, well, classic Doctor Who has no budget and it looks campy and silly and the sets wobble. This is like one of the stories they're talking about. This is one of those. There's others like, Invasion of Time and stuff. But this is one of those. The sets look terrible. The Nimon costumes look terrible. You've got some cheese acting going on here. You have the Grand High Lama, Grand Emperor of cheese acting going on here. But here's the thing. Horns of Nimon is very much an acquired taste. And after watching it a couple times, I started to like it more. And then each time I've watched it since, it's just grown on me more and more. Because if you approach it as there's no money, filler, enjoy it for what it is, Underwater Menace, B story, C story, D story, you can have a lot of fun with this. This one, if you think of it as just silly pantomime camp, you can have so much fun with it. I mean, Soldeed is awesome. I love Soldeed in this. What was he call her? Galactic Space Hussy or whatever it is? How many Nimon have you seen today? 3! I have seen 3! You're all doomed. Doomed! And then the guy who plays the other pilot, the one who does take them off course, he's a little over the top with his acting too. Like how he's always calling the kids scum, like something or another scum. Sometimes he says it like he's almost about to forget to. It's like he's about to walk out and he's like, oh yeah, I've got to say the line. You're pitiful scum. It's like he almost forgets to say it, but he knows he's supposed to say it, so he turns around to say it. The sets are terrible. The sets are so bad. The Nimon costumes. It's obviously a dude in a suit. They look so bad. Sounds they make are pretty cool, but they look so bad. They're not intimidating at all. I will say, there is actually one scene, though, where Soldeed is actually very scary when he's looming over the pilot because he knows the pilot altered the course and he's confronting him about it. He actually, was it Graham? Is that his name? Plays that very seriously. That bit about, like when the guy is saying, I use the fusion, whatever kind of fusion cells, and he says the word wrong, and Soldeed corrects him, and he's like, you fixed them? Yes, you? Did you now? That old you wouldn't know how to fix those engines, and your life depended on it. You altered your course, didn't you? Didn't you? That's actually pretty creepy. I can see why the guy's intimidated. It was a malfunction. Why the guy's a little spooked. He actually plays that slightly sinister there, or a bit sinister. You can actually see him kind of looming. He feels threatening in that one scene. But then, of course, after that, he goes back to being pure camp, which I'm all here for. I like how the only person that seems to be playing this episode straight is Lala Ward. She's great at it. She's wonderful in the episode. And I like the fact she has her own Sonic. But she's the only person that seems to be taking seriously. I mean, Tom Baker's being the more Williams era Tom Baker. I mean, he can still be serious when he wants. But I think even he realizes this one's a bit rubbish. So he's leaning into it. Although I do love that scene when he tells the guard who's holding the gun on him, "Now, don't you worry your little head over it. You just focus on keeping that gun steady." The way he delivers that line, he's insulting the guy like the guy doesn't even know. I like this story. It's so much silly, campy, pantomime fun. And that's why it ranks as high. It makes me laugh. It makes me smile. It puts me in a good mood. Why would I not rank it high when it makes me happy? I like being happy. Next on the list is The Power of the Doctor, which is the highest Jodie Whittaker episode on the list, and my favorite episode of hers. This is pretty much like the modern Who version of the 5 Doctors. You have a story that's Not the best written plot in the world, let's be honest. Much like the Five Doctors, but it's fun. It's a celebration of Doctor Who. And like the $5, it feels like a celebration of all of Doctor Who up to that point. Unlike, say, Day of the Doctor, which a lot of times feels more like a celebration of modern Doctor Who than all of Doctor Who, despite being the 50th anniversary. Power of the Doctor, well, not actually being the 60th anniversary, feels like an anniversary special for Doctor Who. You have past companions coming back, it's great to see them again. You have past doctors coming back, it's great to see them again. It's a fun story, an enjoyable story, a bit silly at times, but enjoyable. It feels like it looks like it's got a great production budget. I like that they bring the lone Cybermen back, but I don't like what they do with him. They kind of waste him, even though it's good to see him again. Although the bit with the kind of almost Russian doll-like thing was a neat trick. Sasha Dewan's putting in a good performance. I absolutely adore the scenes when Ace and Tegan get to interact with their doctors via the hologram. The hologram's a neat idea. It's a neat way of having Jodie Whittaker's doctor sidelined for part of the story, but still having her feature in a lot of the story. So, because you don't want her sidelined in her own finale. So it's a great way to still have her taking part in the story. It's nice that it also gives us a chance to see Jo Martin's doctor again, because I like her doctor. And it has a really nice ending. I enjoyed all the groups of companions getting together and getting to see, love getting to see Ian again one last time, getting to see William Russell again, and seeing Joe and seeing Mel. It's wonderful. It was neat. And then I actually like the regeneration. I like the fact it's not this long, drawn-out regeneration. And it was a nice, beautiful tracking shot there on the mountain. Nice cliffhanger with her turning back into Tennant. It's a very fun and enjoyable episode with some great dialogue. Next on the list is Mummy on the Orient Express. This one's fun. I like this one. I love the story. I love the cast. The setting looks good. I love the ticking clock. The counting down of the clock is great. I love the scientific explanation of what's going on. I like the fact that it's not a supernatural thing, that there is a logical explanation, that it is technology based. And I love the chemistry between Clara and the Doctor here, watching them sort out their problems. And I love when the Doctor, goes into high gear at the end, when he steals her weakness, puts it in him. That whole bit about, hello, I will be your victim this evening. Are you my mummy? I love that. Are you my mummy? I love that bit. Watching him, because the 12th Doctor especially, he cooks when he's under pressure. When he is under pressure like that, he cooks. Just everything goes into overdrive mentally. I love that. Watching him figure it out at the last second. I like that. I also like the guy who's playing the kind of engineer, the one the Doctor invites to travel with him if he wanted at the end. Actor playing him is great. It's just a fun adventure story. It feels like, Murder on the Orient Express, but with a Doctor Who twist, and it's a space train. And I like the fact we've never circled back around to who actually caused that, who was behind that. That's still a mystery. I wouldn't mind picking up on that thread. But it's a fun, adventurous episode. I really enjoy it. And next on the list is The Unicorn and the Wasp. First off, this episode has to get points because it has Christopher Benjamin in it. If you want a highly regarded Doctor Who episode, have Christopher Benjamin in it. Works every time. Christopher Benjamin's in 3 Doctor Who television episodes, and they're all fantastic. None of them have appeared on the list until now. The other 2 TV stories he's in are higher on the list. So you want a good Doctor Who episode, get Christopher Benjamin in it. I mean, I know he passed away recently, sadly, but seems to be a good key to success there. So I love having him back in it. I love when the modern series brings in classic Who alums like that. And then I just enjoyed this episode. It's filler. That's a problem with the 8-episode seasons we have now, or 10-episode seasons. You don't have as much room for a nice filler episode. And sometimes filler episodes are fun. Crimson Horror, another good example. Gridlock could even be considered filler, I think, sometimes. And I love Gridlock. But I really think this is very much a filler episode, but it's fun. It's quirky. It's silly. It's funny. I mean, the whole idea is silly. A person who turns into a giant wasp that's running around murdering people Agatha Christie style. Kind of a silly premise. But the actors pull it off well. The actress playing Agatha Christie is great. The actor who's playing the guy who turns into the Wasp, and I know him from other stuff. He's one of, you ever have, one of those actors, you're like, I know that guy. I don't know from what, but I know that guy. He's good in this. The actress playing the older woman, the one that ends up being his mom, she's good. I like that bit at the end. I'm British. That whole joke about the British stiff upper lip. I'm British. We carry on. That amused me. I love the scene when the doctor's interrogating everybody and they're giving their account of what they were doing at the time of the murder, and it shows a flashback. But the account that they're verbally saying doesn't match the actual flashback. Love that. And then how Tennant has his own flashback because he gets lost in thought when he's like hacking through the forest. The scene when they try to poison him and Donna has to save him is hilarious. Like, Harvey Wallbanger! You gotta do something to surprise me. So she kisses him and it works. That whole scene is hilarious. I mean, Catherine Tate and David Tennant have such good chemistry together. They bounce off each other very well. So you give them a comedic bit, they're going to sell it. They're just going to sell it. I enjoy that a lot. I like the actress who plays the unicorn when she's discovered how her dialect or accent completely changes. That's really good on her part. I enjoy this one. It's fun. It's silly. It's humorous. I like the bit when, they're doing the bit at the end when they reveal who did it. And, Christopher Benjamin gives himself away. Oh, no, I wasn't talking about you. You could sit back down. It's fun. It's a fun episode. That's why it ranks this high. Always puts a smile on my face when I watch it. Next on the list is Midnight. This is one that definitely took me a long time to come around on. I once called it the most overrated 10th Doctor story. I never could quite get into it, but my last rewatch really turned me around on it. It's just constructed so well. I mean, it's so well put together. The story itself is great. It's a well-written story. The execution is done well. It's cast well with the guest cast in it. The actress playing Skye, and then, of course, the Midnight Entity. She's great. She can terrify you just with a glance, which that combined with the camera angles and the lighting, it's a well-directed episode. We have David Troughton being snuck in here as Professor Hobbs. I love that. Again, love not only having a Classic Who alumni, but of course the son of Patrick Troughton also in this story. I do like how this is kind of a bottle episode, how it's contained just in this one area. I actually really like that. And it's just very much a base under siege with a bunch of people trapped in this one room trying to figure out what's going on and watching as the situation escalates as she goes from mimicking everybody, excuse me, to mimicking just the Doctor, to speaking the same time as the Doctor, to eventually getting ahead of him, seeing this beat for beat as it gets worse and worse, and you're sitting here going, that's bad, that's worse, that's even worse, oh, this is really bad. And then I love the fact that we never learn what the Midnight Entity is. That's why we call it the Midnight Entity. We have no name for it. We don't know what it is. I like the mystery of it. And I like the fact that even The Well didn't give away the mystery of it. It works well as a sequel. But I like the mystery behind it. I like not having all the answers. I like the Doctor not knowing all the answers. And the Doctor not even being able to save the day. He only survives because someone else sacrifices herself to save him because she realizes what's going on. This one time, and one of the things I love most about this, Tennant's a very human Doctor, the 10th Doctor is. But he has the good and bad of humanity because of that. He's very caring, very kind, very compassionate. But he's also a bit narcissistic and extremely arrogant at times. And that kind of bites him in the ass here. Because, he's a bit arrogant. Y'all should listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. What's your name? John Smith. That's not your name. The fact they all turn on him because he acts like a know-it-all. I like that. The fact that he was, don't worry, I'm the Doctor and I can handle this. You need to listen to me now. I kind of like the fact they weren't having it. I don't know why. I just like the fact that other Doctors in this situation it might have worked out better for. I would have loved to have seen Capaldi in this story. This would have made such a good Capaldi story. I would have loved to have seen Capaldi with this story. But it's just so well put together and has a strong rewatchability because of that. Good performances. Oh, especially David Tennant when he's possessed and you see him kind of breaking free. When you have that camera on him in the foreground and everything's behind him, you see him. Very good performance. And next on the list is Doom Coalition 1, The Red Lady, which is part 2 of Doom Coalition 1. This is, I believe, the highest placed piece of expanded media from Doctor Who on this list. Everything above this, which I believe is 35 more stories, is from the TV series properly, their TV stories. So this is the highest Big Finish or any kind of expanded media story on the list. And for good reason. This story is good. It's kind of like Midnight in ways, but I would rank it just above Midnight. This, of course, is an 8th Doctor story. This is the story that introduces Helen, who, of course, travels with the 8th Doctor and Liv throughout Doom Coalition 1, 2, 3, and 4. And after that, and I like Helen. She's kind of working at a museum in like the 50s or the 60s. And it ties in with stuff going on in the museum and otherwise. It's very much horror themed, scary, spooky, not knowing what's going on. Even the 8th Doctor is in the dark. And I really don't want to go into it too much because it's that good. It is, obviously, well, I don't know if I'm going to say obviously, but it is definitely arguably my favorite piece of expanded Doctor Who media that I've ever absorbed, so to speak. Listened to, read, whatever. It's really good. I really enjoyed listening to it. It's creepy, it's scary, you don't know what's going on, the 8th Doctor doesn't know what's going on, he's trying to figure it out. It's got a really nice ending, and you know, you're in a museum looking at works, you got art that you look at that looks back at you. It's good atmosphere, good tension, good tone. If I could recommend some Big Finish stories, I'd recommend this one, because you can't watch it as a standalone. The Red Lady, yeah, it's a good one. Part of the Doom Coalition 1 box set. Really good. Next on the list is Thin Ice, my second favorite Capaldi story. This one's fun. It's a really good historical. Again, Bill is still kind of figuring the Doctor out at this point. Looks great. It actually looks like they're back in time. You know, the BBC's very good at doing historicals with costumes and setting. Looks good. Love them running around on the Thames. Looks great. The fact we actually see a child die. I like when Doctor Who doesn't pull punches. That kid runs off with the Sonic and you just see his hand out of the ice. And when the Doctor gets the Sonic, bye-bye, kid. That's telling stuff. The conversation between the Doctor and Bill when she's like, have you seen people die? And he's like, eh. Have you ever killed anyone? And he's kind of, eh. And she's like, you don't even seem fazed by it. How come? He's like, because then more people die. That whole scene is just really good, and both of them are performing that scene very well. I also like when he tells her, all right, remember, we're going to negotiate, we're going to use words. And then he ends up punching the racist guy in the face. I enjoy this. This one's almost a pure historical. Not quite, but almost. You do have that alien tech in it, but it's a good historical. I like Thin Ice a lot. It's just well made, well performed. Next on the list is The Girl in the Fireplace. First off, love the incidental music. Some of the best incidental music in all of Doctor Who. I love that Madame de Pompadour theme. I have the Series 1 and 2 soundtrack with that theme on it. I have such an emotional connection to that theme. Because, you know, being in my late 20s and stuff, you know, kind of when this episode came out. Well, I guess technically when it came out in my mid-20s, but I'm trying to remember when I got the soundtrack. Mid to late 20s. You know, I went through my own breakups and dating life, and, you know, I really connected with this theme that has so many emotions for me. Hope, loss, so much. So I just bonded with that piece of music. And I wish that all of the variations of this theme were on, like, an album somewhere, because there are different versions of the theme that play throughout the episode. And if they ever put that out on, like, an album with, like, variations of the theme in it, I'd buy it in an instant. In an instant. I'd pay ridiculous money for it. Because I love those various pieces of versions of that song. That being said, also, I love the episode. It's a wonderful episode. The actress playing Renette is great. Nice to have Mickey on the TARDIS team traveling with them. I like how time flows differently. So he's seeing her at these different stages of her life. That's really neat. I like the chemistry between the Doctor and Renette. It's really, really good. I like the design of the clockwork robots. They're really cool. I mean, their actual design when they're unmasked, and they have that kind of, I don't know if steampunk is the right word, but I really like that you can see all the gears and stuff. And then I like their costumes, their period costumes. The way the faces are done are really neat. And I like how they, when they move, they make the sounds, the ticking and the way they twist. I really like all of that. The fact of what happened to the crew because someone wasn't smart enough to say, hey, don't do that. I like that. I always like when something goes wrong because someone didn't have the foresight to put something in the computer because they figured it would be common sense. But a computer doesn't know common sense. A computer only knows what you tell it. So what's it Tom Baker says in Robot about how it's really just a clever, stupid machine or something like that? A computer only knows what you tell it. So you would think something like, do not kill the crew and use them for parts would be common sense. But if you don't specifically tell the computer that, the computer doesn't know that common sense. So that's interesting when they see the eye and the heart. That's interesting. And then I do like the ending. It's a sad, sad ending. Watching, Tennant have to hide his hurt. Are you all right? I'm always all right. And you know he's not all right. And they know he's not all right. Come on, show me the ship. That he needs some time to himself, that letter. It's a sad ending, but it's a beautiful ending. And again, that music with it. And the fact the Doctor doesn't even know why the ship, that he doesn't realize it's the SS Madame de Pompadour, and that's why. I do like that bit about, why is there a horse on the ship? Get some perspective. Why is 17th century France on the ship? It has some fun moments. It's just a well-made story. I really, really enjoy The Girl in the Fireplace. Next on the list is Dot and Bubble, the highest Ncuti Gatwa episode on the list, and one of the best Doctor Who episodes to come out of the 2020s. Definitely the best RTD2 episode to come out of the 2020s. I like this one. It's interesting to me that it's a Dr. Light episode, but it does a very good job at what it's trying to say. Its political messaging is well executed here. I think the actress playing Lindy, Callie, is that her name? She's great. And if she wasn't great, this episode wouldn't work. But she's phenomenal in this role. She plays it so well. The guy playing Ricky September is good as well. Even the little guest cast people, I should say the kind of minor roles, they perform those little parts well. And I like all of the things that this episode is skewering. Of course, you get the gut punch at the end of realizing, hey, these people are all racist. But even before that, the other things the episode is pointing out, the dangers of classism and elitism, and basically what happens when you're stuck with a bunch of rich kids who've never been told no. Those are still real things that the episode is pointing out and saying, hey, these are bad. They're not just red herrings. They do a good job at distracting you from the real issue being racism. But it's not that they're just red herrings. These are other things that the story is saying, hey, this is bad. Classism is bad. Elitism is bad. The budget looks really good. A lot of times I always say Doctor Who doesn't need a big budget. And it doesn't. Classic Doctor Who, some of the greatest Doctor Who stories of all time were made on a low budget by people who were just very good at using those budgets. This is one of the episodes I feel like justifies its budget with the bubbles and everything working. Like the fact she can't even walk without the bubble being on. That's interesting. And that they have to teach her how to walk. And that these people are so helpless, the slugs can pretty much just got them. They can't even see them. That's crazy. And then the episode does a good job of casting Lindy as this character who just snobby, rich kid, entitled, doesn't know how to survive on her own. And then you think it's going to be kind of like a hero's journey where she kind of learns to grow, be a better person, learns to be more self-sufficient. Kind of like Sally Sparrow, who was already, Sally Sparrow was already pretty independent anyway, but you do see her grow throughout the episode. You think it's going to be an episode like that where, okay, this is our heroine for the story, we're going to root for her. And the episode pulls the rug out from under you with this one. Like, you start off not really liking Lindy, being very annoyed with Lindy, because we've all met people like that in real life, where you're just like, Jesus God, this person has no idea the real world's going to hit them like a ton of bricks, or they're so well off they're never going to have to worry about it. And it's frustratingly annoying. And then she does start trying to learn, and you see her kind of growing, getting better. You start kind of pulling for her. She's getting out. She meets Ricky. She's excited. And you like Ricky because you realize Ricky's the one person here that's different. He actually seems like a pretty good guy overall. He's kind of the stand-in doctor for this episode, because this is another one of those where the doctor isn't there. He can only talk. And so Ricky September's kind of our stand-in doctor. Which is the problem, is that he isn't the doctor. He doesn't have the doctor's experience, and he doesn't know how to judge people. And that's what ultimately gets him killed. As I've said before, the doctor doesn't just pick his companions willy-nilly. Again, when I talk about the long game, and one of the reasons I like the long game is we get to see a failed companion in Adam. We get to see a companion that just can't hack it. And you have to remember that it's not the doctor that picked Adam. It's Rose that picked Adam. The doctor just allowed it. And it ended up biting them in the butt. So the doctor is very careful, honestly, with who he lets travel with him. And Ricky doesn't quite know you can't trust people at face value, and it ultimately gets him killed. And that's really when you get the rug reveal, or the rug pull about Lindy, is when you hear her say that line about his last name is Coombs or whatever. He changed his name, or C comes before P or whatever. And you even see Ricky September like, Lindy. And he's been so busy fighting this ball, he just kind of gives up. And that's a big... you don't really see it, but it's still kind of gruesome. And it just pops right through him after he went through all that trouble to fight it off. And she escapes. And I think that's the exact moment when you just suddenly realize, oh no, this is a terrible person. One of the things I like is watching all of the reactions to this episode online. And that's pretty much the exact moment everybody completely turned on her. I think Jess's reaction, she just flat out went, oh, you bitch. And then you get, then of course you get that final guillotine shot of realizing why she doesn't like the doctor. That whole bit where she's like, oh no. Screen talk is a push, but no. And then it finally clicks into place and you're like, oh. Wow. That, yeah, these are racist, and they're going to their deaths. And that the doctor, because he's the doctor, is even willing to let all of that go. And pleading with them, look, you can think what you want. You can say what you want. Just let me save your life, which is one of the most doctor things the doctor could do. And this is probably my favorite moment of Shooty Got One the Roll, because I totally get his rage and frustration here. That bit when he's like, ah, ah, and he laughs, and then he does that, ah, because I've had moments like that in my life. That kind of frustration, that no-win scenario frustration where you just, ah, I've had those moments in my life. I have, and I completely identify with that moment. There's always that part in the back of my mind that figures he could have saved them if he really wanted, though. Because there's a whole nother version of the Doctor on Earth, because the 14th Doctor's still on Earth, and they, as much as I hate to say it, if 14 showed up with the TARDIS, there's a good chance they might have let him help. Now, maybe they would have thought he was too old, or, maybe there's an ageism thing with them, too, who knows, for people who aren't like their parents or something. They might have found a reason. But, he could have went to the 14th Doctor and been like, look, which is another whole, the 14th Doctor existing is a huge plot hole thing. That's a whole nother story. But just the journey of this is such a fun watch. And I really like the 70s look of this, the 70s colors. I could never quite put my finger on the word for it until I was watching, I think it was Blind Wave's reaction to it, and they mentioned the 70s colors everywhere, and I'm like, that's what it is, the 70s saturated colors everywhere, which is an interesting, unique look. But everything comes together with this well. It's directed well, it's performed well, and it's a good story with a very good ending. Easily my favorite Shudigatwa story. Easily. Next on the list is The Invasion, going back to the second Doctor. Probably the best Cyberman story of all time. It's really close between the Moonbase and The Invasion for me. But The Invasion is solid. It's 8 parts, never drags. I mean, it's unfortunate that episodes 1 and 4 are missing. I hope they turn up one day. But the animation for them is good. I mean, the very first story to get animated, and or missing 60s story to get animated, and the animation holds up well. They did a really good job with the animation. It's a little rough with the helicopter sequence at the end of episode 4, but other than that, works pretty well. What's it? Kenneth Stoney? He's so great as Tobias Vaughn. Tobias Vaughn is one of the best human villains we've ever had in Doctor Who. And he just plays Tobias Vaughn so well. But the guy playing Packard is great too. You know, I got to give him credit. He's also good in this. The Cybermen design, I love. This and the Revenge of the Cybermen design is my favorite design, probably. Especially the helmets. I love the helmets. And then, of course, some of the most iconic location work in all of Doctor Who being the location work there with the Cybermen coming out of the sewers and the Daleks walking down the steps in the city. Very iconic work. And of course, the Cybermen don't even show up until around the end of episode 4, really, which is a great reveal since, you know, it's not a story titled something or another, the Cybermen. So it's a nice surprise if you haven't put it together by then. And again, I feel like it fills out its 8 parts well. And of course, we have the Brigadier back, who has actually been promoted to Brigadier here. This is the first time we get him as a recurring character, which is fantastic. Nicholas Courtney is great. We get our introduction to Corporal Benton, who's kind of a glorified extra here. But it's nice to see his beginnings here, where we would get him as a regular later. And this is kind of the first Pertwee story in a way, even though Pertwee's not in it. It's like a proto-Pertwee story. It is actually this story that kind of gave them the idea to do the Pertwee era the way they did it. I always think of this as kind of the first Pertwee story, even though it doesn't have Pertwee in it, and Robot is kind of the last Pertwee story, even though it doesn't have Pertwee in it, because they still feel like Pertwee stories in a way, even though they have different doctors. Solid 8 parts. Best Cyberman story. Next on the list, I wanted to put it higher because I love the story. The Curse of Fenrich. Classic, essential 7th Doctor, essential Doctor Who story. You have to see The Curse of Fenrich. If you are a Doctor Who fan, and there are only 2 McCoy stories you ever watch, it needs to be Remembrance of the Daleks and The Curse of Fenrich. They are phenomenal. I love this story. It is so well put together. My favorite version being the movie edit with the updated effects, because the scenes are done in the proper order. Because the Sylvester McCoy era did have a habit of having to be edited down to fit its broadcast time. Sometimes scenes had to be trimmed and reordered. So this is more closer to seeing it as it was originally intended to be seen, shall we say, with the flow of the story. I love the idea of Fenrich. I think he's executed well. The Professor playing Fenrich, well, he does good playing the Professor and playing Fenrich. I like the Roman soldier, the one that gets possessed at the end. The guy playing him is great. The 2 girls that end up getting turned into the Hemivores, come play with us. They do a good job being the human and the Hemivores. The makeup design on the Hemivores is phenomenal. That's a heck of a way to do a vampire. That kind of crustaceous fish, waterlogged look. Wow, chef's kiss. Very well done. Very creepy, very scary. Nick Parsons. We have Nick Parsons as the priest. I say that like I really know who Nick Parsons is, but I know he's a big deal. I think he was a popular game show host. So I'm not sitting here like I have the full brunt of that knowledge, but I know it was a big deal. They had Nick Parsons. And I think it's awesome that they had him back for the 30th anniversary making of they did for the box set. I believe he was 96, and he passed away right around when the box set came out, just a few months later. So I'm glad they had him on that. He's great in the story. Look, again, location work looks good. Nice set designs. Story has a good flow to it. And then the revelation with Ace about the baby she helped save. That's a great turn of events. Watching the Doctor have to break Ace's faith in him, kind of similar with what we would later see in the God Complex with the 11th Doctor and Amy, except it's done better here. Is very well done. Yeah, I really enjoy the Curse of Fenrich. Must see Doctor Who. Must see Doctor Who for every Doctor Who fan. Next on the list is Time Crash, the mini-episode featuring the 5th Doctor and the 10th Doctor meeting, which really hits even harder now with knowing that they're in-laws, knowing now, you know, that David is married to Peter's daughter, so they're father and son-in-law. But it really does come across sometimes as just like 8 minutes of David Tennant fanboying that he's getting to hang out with Peter Davison. And it's a fun episode. It's nice. Peter Davison slips back into the role really well. I enjoy the banter between them. I love the fact that he takes him a minute to catch on that he's also the Doctor. I love the farewell between them. That whole, you know what, Doctor? You are my Doctor. Because you do get that sense that it's not just the 10th Doctor talking to the 5th Doctor. It's also David Tennant talking to Peter Davison. It's just lovely. It's fan service. Of course it's fan service. It's beautiful fan service. And our first multi-Doctor story in modern Doctor Who. And it's glorious. It puts a smile on my face every time I see it. Next on the list is Utopia, toward the end of Series 3. First off, we got Derek Jacobi, or however you're supposed to say his last name. He's great. I love him as Professor Yana in this. And I like this episode a lot. Series 3 has a good feel to it. I just love the way Series 3 is made. Series 3, of course, being my favorite series of modern Doctor Who. I think Tennant really hit his stride this season. And I just like everything going on here. I like Jack coming back. The little jokes about him trying to flirt with everybody. I like the actress playing Chantho. And the fact the actress is so good at getting the way she has to speak right with those lines. And she emotes quite a bit with that, being under all those prosthetics. She's really good at still emoting with her face. She does that really well. Chan, I do not mind though. Chan, it would be rude though. I like her. She's good. I don't know if she's ever been in Doctor Who and anything else, but she's good. And I like her and Martha kind of bonding a bit. But I especially love the scenes of... First off, I love the Doctor going to almost the end of the universe. I just love that idea. I do. And then them trying to escape because there's this faint hope of them finding Utopia. And I love watching the Doctor interact with Professor Yana because it makes the ending of the story all that more sad because the Professor's a great guy. And the Doctor respects him, and they bond a little bit. I love when they have that conversation. You know, if you'd been born at any other time, before all the galaxies died, you'd be considered a genius. And he's just like, those damn galaxies. The way he says it, I enjoy the little camaraderie between them in that scene, and so it makes that ending hit all the more harder when. Of course, it's revealed, and I don't think it's a spoiler at this point, that he's the Master. It's great to see the Master come back. I mean, he's one of the big three. He's the last of the big three to come back. And Derek just does that heel turn, the literal heel turn, so well when he switches. You first get those hints of something being wrong, and then, of course, you get, when you see the watch, you get the footage, you get that audio of Delgado's voice. Kill him, and you will give your power to me. Which I'm sure a lot of people watching it for the first time didn't catch that. I didn't know what it was from because I hadn't seen the Daemons yet when I'd seen Utopia, but I did get, okay, that's a line from classic Doctor Who, obviously. But I'm sure a lot of people didn't. Open me and receive my majesty. That's very much the Master. And so seeing it, and I love the fact that human nature had set up the fob watch ahead of time. So when you first see it, you're like, that's a good bit of foreshadowing, without ever realizing it was foreshadowing. And Derek just switches gears to the Master so well. And he does it just with that look. When he turns around, you see that look on his face. I mean, immediately, classic Who fans were like, that's the Master. That's the Master. Even if you didn't catch the voice line, that's the Master. And he plays the Master so well. That brief time we get with him as the Master, he's glorious. I mean, he's one of my favorite Masters. He's kind of like Delgado's Master if he was more sinister. You know, if Delgado's Master is like rated PG-13, then Derek's is that version of the Master if he's rated R. And I just like that. No worries, my dear. As one door closes, another must open. That whole bit. And how he doesn't even consider her a threat. When she's like, you know, I'm going to have to stop you. And he looks at her like, yeah, right. And then when he uses the gun, he's like, oh, really? I just love that first glance like, yeah, okay. Oh! Such good acting. And then, of course, the regeneration is great. The cliffhanger ending is good. Martha recognizing the voice. I wasn't familiar with John Sims, so I didn't really know what to expect from him. But what a heck of an ending that was. It's such a good story. It just gets me amped, even when I go back and rewatch it. I love Utopia. Next on the list, and I wanted to put this higher because I do love this one, is The Three Doctors. Now, I maintained for a long time that The Three Doctors is probably my favorite multi-doctor story. I do think The Five Doctors may have jumped it recently because The Five Doctors is higher. The Three Doctors is very good, though. I mean, one of my favorite scenes in all of Doctor Who, we're talking top 5 ever, is from this story. When the second Doctor first shows up in the TARDIS and him and the third Doctor is squabbling. I live for that scene. Live for that scene. It does have some problems, which have become more apparent to me when I've watched like fan-made edits with updated special effects. Like I think Cunning Monkey has done a version with some updated special effects. It's really made me realize, okay, we need some updated special effects for this story. And the little glob creatures that appear aren't really that threatening. But the story itself is sound. First off, it's a great reason to get the Three Doctors together. And again, I love having Troughton back. Troughton and Pertwee are two of my favorite Doctors. And I love the fact they don't get along at all and that they squabble. And that the first Doctor has to show up and be like, It's great to have Hartnell back one last time. Obviously, he wasn't in the best of health. But the fact he was so excited to do it again, and that I'm sure he was flattered at being brought back, even if he couldn't partake in as much as he wanted. But I'm sure he enjoyed when they did the photo shoot out at his house. I know he had a ball with that. And it is truly great to have him one last time playing the role. It's nice to see Benton and Brigadier get in the TARDIS for the first time. I love Benton's response to that. Aren't you going to say it's bigger on the inside, Sergeant? Everyone else does. Well, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? I love that answer as he takes the beret off. Like, I like the kind of professor guy who's there, who's kind of, Stephen Thorne as Omega is amazing. I mean, I also like the guy who plays Omega in Arc of Infinity. Stephen Thorne just nails it here. The arrogance, the booming arrogance. And you can understand how he survived just because of his will. That's a great twist, finding out that the corrosion had basically destroyed his physical body and that he couldn't leave. The twist being he couldn't leave. And that he only existed because his will insisted he existed. That's really neat. And I also like his outfit. I like that costume. It has that kind of arrogant, I'm in charge feel to it. And again, Stephen's voice really lends itself to that. It's a great multi-Doctor story. Still one of the best. Still probably my second favorite. Very solid. Next on the list is Planet of Evil, returning to season 13. Again, arguably the greatest Doctor Who season of all time. I love Planet of Evil. Underrated story. I think the only thing really it has going against it, it's part of season 13. You put it in most seasons, it's going to be the shining jewel of the season. First off, as always, anytime we talk about Planet of Evil, we got to talk about the jungle set. One of the best sets in all of Doctor Who, one of the best sets arguably in all of sci-fi. That set, especially for depicting an alien landscape, that set is phenomenal. I cannot put enough words into how good that set looks. The lighting on it, part of it being shot on film, the fact that you even got water running through it, it does feel like you're on an alien planet. I love Tom Baker's performance in this. Sometimes when he gets that far-off stare where you can see the gears turning, I love when Tom does that. Elizabeth Sladen is performing well in this. I actually really like most of the performances in it. Prentice Hancock is good in this. I don't think he was directed the best. His performance is good. I don't really care for the haircut they gave him. I can't take it seriously. They should have given him a more proper captain haircut. And, of course, he's going to remind you he's in charge every 5 seconds. And I wish they'd reined him back a little bit, but I suspect that could have been a director choice. The guy playing his second in command is really good in this. The guy playing the professor, the one that's got the whole Jekyll Hyde thing going on, he's really good in this. I think he's the one that comes back later and plays the inventor of K9 in The Invisible Enemy. I like him in this. I like the whole Jekyll Hyde thing going on with him. I like the whole Forbidden Planet thing going on with the creature on the planet. That's a neat special effect. The scene when they assault the ship is a pretty cool scene, actually. When they're having to repel it with the shields, I actually like how well that scene is shot. I don't really care for the crew uniforms. Those uniforms the crew wear, they just don't do much for me. That's one of the nitpicks I have on this episode. I don't really care for those uniforms. They just, the fact that when they try to leave, they can't leave because of the antimatter on the ship, I like that. I love the scene when the professor guy tries to launch himself out of the tube, like he knows he's changing and there's no hope, and he actually tries to stop himself, and he almost gets it pushed forward, but then the Hyde persona takes over and he stops. But I still think that was a noble thing that he tried. He actually did try to make that noble sacrifice to save everyone else because he realized what was happening. He just couldn't maintain control long enough. But the fact that scene doesn't have to be in the episode, but that it is, just adds a little character development for him. And even listening to him talk, he's not a bad guy. He's trying to help his people. That's the whole reason he's doing this, is because his people, his planet's in danger of dying. So, he has good intentions. So he is a good person who just ended up in a bad situation. It's a solid story. Planet of Evil just doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion. And next on the list is The Seeds of Doom. Another Season 13 classic following right on from Planet of Evil. Such a good season finale. One of Tom's best season finales. Not necessarily his best, but still right up there. I love The Seeds of Doom. An excellent take on the Thing, especially the original, of course, Thing from Another World from the 50s. I love the 6-parter, but especially the first 2 parts. I do think the first 2 parts of this story are the best. The parts that take place on the Antarctic base, where you really get the Thing vibes. I like the guest cast in this. Harrison Chase is that perfect level of camp. Like, slightly over the top, but in a good way. The actor playing him, top marks, no notes. Also, the guy playing Scorby, John, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, Chalice, something like that. John's great. John is fantastic. And I absolutely love that blooper of when he's like supposed to go to the locked door, but the door's not locked and it opens and he's like, beep! He says something he shouldn't. John's just fantastic as Scorby in this. He's perfect as Scorby. I mean, the guy playing Keeler is fine, but I really like him as Scorby. Of course, Tom Baker is in perfect form. So is Elizabeth Sladen. And their chemistry back and forth in this one, you can see the bond between them. I love the bit when they're tied up in early part of the story, when Scorby's trying to find the second pod, and he's like threatening to shoot the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, whatever. But then he threatens Sarah, and of course the doctor's going to tell him because he's not going to let one of his companions get threatened. But you see that look in Sarah's face as she's afraid of the gun. But once the doctor does tell him about the second pod, you see this kind of look of almost guilt. Someone else pointed this. I can't remember if it's another YouTuber or someone else. Someone else pointed this, and I've always agreed with it. You see that slight look of guilt because she knows the doctor told him to save her life. And it's such a little thing, but it's perfectly well done. And of course, I love that other bit in the scene about it's down by the brook, down by the house that John built, how they do it in sync with each other. It has some humorous bits in it. I love that bit when he tells the doctor to turn around and the doctor does a full 360. I love the Fourth Doctor when he's snarky. All right, Doctor, talk. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart had perfect pitch. What happened to him? Him? Oh, he died. It's so Tom Baker. It's so Tom Baker. But then he has his scary, serious moments like there is no Charles. I like that he's trying to get it through their head that their friend is gone, that it's not Charles anymore, and that the future of the planet's at stake. Because he's, some people might say he's coming across as uncaring there. It's not that. Much like in Pyramids of Mars, it's not that the Doctor is coming across as callous. It's one, the Fourth Doctor is a very alien Doctor, so he's not going to react the way the human would necessarily. But also, because the Doctor is the only one that fully understands the stakes. Same thing in Pyramids of Mars. Tom doesn't have time. The Doctor doesn't have time to worry about the people who have died thus far, because he understands what's at stake, and he's having to focus on preventing more deaths. Again, kind of what Peter Capaldi says in Thin Ice about, if I take more time to think about that, then more people die. You really see that in play in Pyramids of Mars and in Seeds of Doom, because the Doctor is the only one that understands just how dire of a situation this is and what the real danger is. So while they're worried about Charles, he's having to explain to him, you have to stop thinking of it as Charles. There is no Charles. And I love that. I love when Tom Baker gets his voice. It's so good. I love when Tom Baker has his serious face on. I really like the design of the Krynoids, especially in the early phases, like the first Krynoid that we see in the Arctic, where you have the Axon suit repainted, which looks better as a Krynoid in my opinion. But I saw it that way first, so maybe I'm a little biased. But that where it's still roughly human shape, but it's a monster, that's really good. Now, some of its later forms aren't as convincing to me, and if they ever did any updating effects for the story, you could update the creature some, in my opinion. But they're not bad. I mean, it's nothing like, even Creature from the Pit bad. It's fine. The Krynoid always looks some level of decent to good, but it's not as good as those early episodes. Now, the other 4 episodes at the house are still enjoyable. They're still good, even. They're still great, even. They're just not quite as good as those first 2 episodes. I always have a little nitpick that when we see people get killed on the little blade spinner, there's never any blood on the blades later. It's like as soon as it kills someone, it's got its own cleaning process. And I get why there's no blood, obviously, family-friendly show. But for some reason, it nitpicks me a little. Also, the fat unit is in this story, but not so you'd notice, because none of our regulars are back. We don't have the Brigadier, we don't have Benton, we don't have Yates, we don't have a recognizable face. So it's really easy to forget that Unit is in this story at the end, because we don't recognize anyone we're familiar with the unit, and that is a slight missed opportunity there. Also, the outside video broadcast footage they used looks really good. They didn't do the location work with film in this one. This is one of those rare occasions, pre-Trial of a Time Lord, where they actually shot on outside videotape, and it looks good. It does look good. Very, very solid story. Great season finale. And again, one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time. So that's going to wrap up this video. I want to know what you think of the list so far. We're definitely into the good ones now. Next video will be cracking the top 50. So comment down below and tell me what you think of this video series so far. All the other fun things to do. Links to the Patreon, of course, are down in the description of the video. Links to the Amazon wishlist, links to the Amazon UK wishlist. The P.O. box is down there. Love getting fan mail. Someone needs to send me a bag of jelly babies one day. I've never, ever had jelly babies. And are the jelly belly babies they make now the same as, like, the ones they made when Tom were the Doctor? Or are they different? What do they even taste like? Are they like jelly beans? Are they like gummy bears? I don't know if they even make jelly babies in the States or not. But I've always wanted to try jelly babies. I think it's hilarious if someone sends them and then I actually don't like them. But I want to try jelly babies. Someone can send some jelly babies. All right, I'm off on a tangent. But the P.O. box is down there if anybody wants to send anything. I also want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons: Finn Perkins, Colin Coney, Androzani Major, and Unknown 289. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. Most importantly, thank you for watching.